to introduce NACI to all of our new participants. NACI is the acronym for the National Association of Health Services Executives, and is a nonprofit association of Black healthcare executives, which was founded in 1968 for the purpose of promoting the advancement and development of Black healthcare leaders and elevating the quality of healthcare services rendered to minority and underserved communities. And I know that that's a shared vision and mission with NAACP. Connecticut chapter has been functioning for, this is our 10th year. So we're excited about the progress we've made as an organization, and we'll share a little bit of our achievements in the business portion of the meeting. If you have questions about how to join or are interested in learning more about our organization, please send us an email. Allison, if you can put our email in the chat, and we'll connect with you offline to introduce the organization to you further. Next slide. And I'll pass this part of the presentation over to Taylor Gainey, Planning and Education Committee member.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Madam President, Dr. Osei. We do look forward to an engaging discussion tonight, so please share your thoughts in the chat. I am going to turn it over really quickly to Elizabeth to give some details for tonight's raffle as well. Next slide.
All right, so we were so excited for today's conversation, and we said, you know what? We have leaders who are coming in from all over, and we just want to share some love. We know that there's long days and long nights, and some of us really enjoy coffee. I do not enjoy coffee, but these spots, whether it's Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, have tea, they have snacks, and lots of great goodness. So we are raffling off 2 gift cards, both for $10, one for Starbucks, one for Dunkin' Donuts. So, you know, we're sharing love for both organizations. So if you'd like to participate in this raffle, all you have to do is submit your name in the survey. The link is in the chat. And thank you. I see we have a little war happening in the chat right now. I am team Dunkin' for the food, Starbucks for the coffee. So please share your name if you'd like to be considered for the raffle, and we will announce our raffle winner towards the end of today's discussion after Dr. Valbrun's talk. So again, hop your name into the survey. If you don't participate, you can't win. So we hope that you participate, and all the best to the victor. I'll turn back over to Taylor.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So to kick off some engagement, which I see a lot of people already are engaging, so thank you guys. But before we introduce Dr. Leslie Valbrun, we would like to ask you all to participate in a poll question. So in 2021, Chartist Group and the National Association of Health Services released findings from a survey they conducted of 100 U.S. hospitals. Of these total C-suite positions in these 100 hospitals, what percentage do you believe were occupied by Black leaders? In the poll, does everyone see the poll on their screens? We'll give everyone a few moments to just fill that out. Right.
And we'll just say, just answer the first question on the poll.
Okay.
So no worries for the additional questions.
Oh, someone's saying it's requiring all answers.
Good to know. Okay. So let's transition and move on the slide and let us know in the chat what your thoughts are in terms of answer.
So while you guys are putting those in the chat, I thank you all for attempting to complete the poll. We'll now go over the answer. Among the sample of U.S. hospitals, 10% of C-suite positions overall were filled by Black leaders. Nevertheless, only 6% of Black leaders were in common C-suite positions such as CEO. Executive roles with the highest percentage of Black leaders were diversity, equity, which had 81%, human resources with 32%, and operations at 12%. So as you can see from these numbers, there's still much work that needs to be done, continuing to increase the representation of Black leaders throughout the C-suite. Now we're going to move on to hear from our speaker for this evening, Dr. Leslie Volbren, and I'll give just a quick overview for his introduction. Dr. Leslie J. Volbren is an experienced and results-oriented healthcare leader, administrator, clinician, educator, strategic planner, and public speaker. Through his work, he emphasizes optimal health and wellness, personal growth principles, and leadership development. Dr. Volbren is a chiropractor at Community Health Services, currently serves as the president for the Greater Bridgeport NAACP, is an active member of the Big Brothers Big Sister program, and is a chairperson of the ethics committee for the city of Bridgeport. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to you, Dr. Volbren.
Thank you, Taylor, for that introduction. And I just want to thank everybody for being on here. Want to shout out the Greater Bridgeport NAACP team. Those of you who are on here, much appreciated. And of course, I'm gonna shout out NACI, that's right, Connecticut NACI, for putting this together. Am excited to be here with you all on this evening. Before we get started, I need a little bit of engagement. Is that all right? Is that all right, everybody? I need a little bit of engagement, everybody. All right, so everybody go ahead and put in the chat real quick. I know y'all on your phones. I know you are. All right. I need you to go ahead and put it in your chat, or if you're on your computer, go ahead and type in the C's. That's right. The and then C''S. We'll get to that in a little bit, and you'll see why. All right. Go ahead and put that in there. All right. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. All right. So here's the thing. I could bore you with a whole lot of information, okay? But my goal tonight is to make sure that we stay engaged and to give you guys some points that will not only help within your careers, but will help in terms of your development as a leader. Now, even before I get into my slides, okay, I got one more thing. That I need you to type in the chat, just so I know that you guys are really alive. I just want to know, all right? Go ahead and put servitude right in the chat real quick. Servitude. Go ahead and type that in the chat, and then we're going to go get, oh man, y'all ain't playing no games. Y'all got some serious thumbs. Go ahead. I love it. I love it. Because here's the truth, everybody. If you want to be a great leader, you got to serve people. If you want to be a great leader in any organization, in any situation, you have to rise up and be of service. That's what it boils down to. And what happens, we'll break this down a little bit, but service absolutely, positively matters. How you serve is going to determine your level of leadership. How you serve, whom you serve, when you serve, more importantly, why you serve. See, most of us, now I'm in the healthcare field, like some of you on here right now, I joined the healthcare field when I was about 5 years old. That's right. See, for some of you guys, you might be thinking, yeah, whatever. All right. Well, here's the thing. I had a mom and a dad who were in the healthcare industry. All right. My dad had gone to school as a laboratory scientist, so he was drawing blood, doing all this stuff in the lab. Y'all know what that is. And then I had my mom, who was a nurse, and decided, you know what, for all you nurses, much respect and love to y'all. She said, I'm not going to break my back for these people. I'm just not going to do it. And ultimately, what happened is she went into the field of public health. And that's where I learned a lot. Really, I learned a whole lot about the healthcare industry, and had family members who were in healthcare as well. But this thing called leadership is something that eludes so many of us. Understanding what that is, the definition of what leadership is, and what power it yields, how it affects people's lives, so many different factors. So I'm going to ask one more question. I promise it won't be the last question I ask, but it'll be the last question I ask from now. I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and put in the chat right now, a one-word definition. Don't give me a whole lot of sentences, just one word. What do you think the definition of leadership is? And then I'll put my slides up. Go ahead. One word. Think about it, but don't think too long because we got to move. What's your one-word definition of leadership? Oh, man. All right. So, Elizabeth, I'm going to need your help. I need you to read off some of the ones that you see in the chat. Okay. I need your help because I'm about to post up my slides, but I need your help to go ahead and read this thing off. Is that all right? Because I see a whole lot of responses in here.
There's a ton. So we see influence, service and coaching, responsibility, inspiration, initiative, more coaching, service, collaboration, lots more influence, change, mentorship, inspiration, transparency, guidance, and stewardship.
I love it. I love it. So that means that you guys are absolutely thinking. You guys are absolutely doing the job. That means you guys, wait a minute, hold up. Let's do this. Y'all can see my slides, right?
Yes, we can.
All right. So I don't want to put it on full screen because I don't know what's going to happen with that. So we'll just leave it as is. All right. And I know we're pressed for time. So here's the thing. Okay. Most of us, matter of fact, I'll tell you this. In 2007, I was just getting ready to graduate with my master's degree in public health. Went the public health route because wanted to learn more about healthcare before making a decision on whether or not I wanted to pursue medicine or any other form of healthcare. And so started my doctorate in preventive care after graduating, but I was in a class and my professor asked one question, said, "What is the definition of leadership?" And let me tell you, we were all stumped. He said, "You were given characteristics of leadership. I need you to give me the definition of leadership." And he said two things. One, so you guys can see it here. Let me go to my next slide. Influence. The definition of leadership is influence. And he was saying, well, if you want to be influential, how do you build influence? So in your organization, how do you build influence? At your job, how do you build influence? Well, here's the thing. You find a problem and you solve the problem. That's how you build influence. And here's the other thing. You want to build more influence? Well, here's a surefire strategy. Are y'all ready for this? I know it's being recorded, but I need y'all to write this down, okay? Here's the formula. You serve, then you build influence. So who you serve, the amount of people you serve, will determine your level of influence. Because at the end of the day, service and influence go hand in hand. That's what leadership is all about. Some of the greatest leaders, now, y'all might not agree with me on this one, okay? Some of the greatest leaders are some of the worst people in the world. You think I'm joking? How about this? If I mention the name Leopold II, do you guys even know who Leopold II is? Now, for those of you who don't know Leopold II, well, he went down into the Congo, okay, and did a whole lot of mess with some Black folk, okay? Made sure that his kingdom, Belgium, had rubber, okay? And they were getting rubber from these plants, all right, and bringing it over. But the dangers that they brought over to the Congo, what they did, massacring a whole lot of people down in the Congo, he's very well known, but, you know, horrible person. Hitler, ooh, everybody knows Hitler. Everybody and their mama knows who Hitler is, right? But how is it that these individuals were able to have influence over people? See, it's the ideology, it's the mindset, it's how you plan to serve, it's the way that you communicate. All of these things are a part of leadership. And so I use this picture here because at the end of the day, if you're empowering people, it's going to affect your leadership. If you inspire people, I know people were putting inspire in there for sure. If you inspire people, you can lead them, right? How about this? If you are an agent of change, now go ahead and type that in the chat, because that right there is amazing. We all know, especially Gandhi, everybody knows who Gandhi is. There's this one quote that says, be the change you want to see in this world, right? Go ahead and type agent of change in the chat, because here's what leadership really is about. It's about making changes that affect people's lives. It's about influencing people in a way that it improves their lives. See, people want to understand and people want to know and people want to believe that you have their best interest at heart. That you have their best interest at heart. And so leadership absolutely positively needs empathy. You want to be a great leader? You better have empathy. You want to be a person of influence? You've got to have empathy. You've got to look at life from someone else's perspective and maybe even get into their moccasins or their shoes, whatever, or their sandals, their flip-flops, whatever it's going to be, and see life from their perspective, which means that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You've got to listen. You've got to take the time and you've got to understand where they are so that you can better serve them. One of the things that I learned while I was getting my education, you know those things called needs assessments? Everybody knows what that is. Everybody knows what a needs assessment is. All my healthcare persons, they know what a needs assessment is. You know, one of the things I asked one of my professors at the time, I said, well, we already know what they need. Why don't we just give it to them? He says, oh, no, you can't do that. Not if you want to be successful, you can't do that. You have to bring people along with you. So you have to ask them what their needs are. Even though you might know what they actually need, you've got to give people something that they need along, or something that they desire, along with what they actually need. And when you're meeting their need, guess what? You become a person of value. You become somebody who provides value. So rather than, and this is, I believe it's Albert Einstein who said this, rather than becoming a person of success, be someone who brings value. Be a person of value. And how do we do that? Well, value comes in a variety of forms. But meeting someone's need is what provides value. And I'll end with this section with this. For those of you who love sports like I do, in the NFL, like I do, well, here's the thing, you know, they value you until you can't provide any service anymore. Have you heard that before? Even in your job, have you heard that before? They value you until you can't provide them any value anymore, right? Well, here's the truth. A person who is valuable themselves understands that they are willing to provide value regardless of the cost. A leader understands that they need to provide value regardless of the cost. Because when you are pouring into others, it causes you to be a greater leader than you could even imagine. Well, there are individuals who do mentorship. Now, mentorship is something that I talk about all the time. Now, if you want to be successful, guys, as leaders, find a leader who's greater than you, find someone who is equal to where you're at, then you find someone that you can mentor. Right? How about this? Let me change it. Let me change the formula just a little bit. If you want to be good at, let's say, let's say you want to be good at making charts. All right. I don't know why. That's the first thing that came on my mind. You want to be good at making charts? Find somebody who's better than you. You find somebody who is equally as good as you, who can challenge you, right? Then you find someone that you can teach, because when we are teaching, guess what? We are learning. While the other person is teaching to us, pouring that wisdom down on us, guess what? We start to grow and we start to elevate. Leadership is cyclical. Leadership is something that is cyclical, and it allows for us to give and to take. You got to be willing to give, and you have to be willing to take. All right, look, we got to move on. Well, here's the thing, Leadership 101. Leadership addresses so many different things. You guys can read these slides right here. Leadership encompasses so many different aspects. Now, yes, there's this one aspect on here that's not in here, but there's a book that I'm going to shout out, and I probably shouldn't, but I will. It's called The Charisma Myth. Now, look, guys, I'm here to give y'all some tools, right? One of the books that y'all got to put on your book list for this year is The Charisma Myth. Matter of fact, go ahead and write that in the chat, just so that I know y'all here, y'all listening, y'all with me, okay? The Charisma Myth. Why? Because there are certain things that we have to learn, not just the soft skills. I love it when people talk about soft skills, right? Well, it's not just the empathy portion of it, it's also how we engage. What I say all the time, and people have heard me say this all the time, content is king. What you know is absolutely important. What you can provide is absolutely important, but engagement is everything. Let me repeat that. Let me repeat that one more time. Y'all want to make some money? Go ahead and take this to the bank, okay? Content is king. Providing that service, great. But how you engage is absolutely important. I'll tell y'all a quick story that happened to me today. I went to this restaurant right around the corner from where I work, and for whatever reason, their online service was just not working, right? So I get to the restaurant, I'm like, hey, here's my order, this, that, and the other. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. It's not working across the United States. This service is just not working right now. He calls, the guy that's there calls the owner of the restaurant, says, here, he's on the phone, talk to him. I'm talking to the guy. He said, don't worry, we'll take care of it, this, that, and the other. You want to talk about great customer service? The man texted me. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm going to read you the last text that he sent me, all right? He said, awesome. We may be a franchise, but it is a family-owned and operated small business. Feel free to talk to me if you ever have a less than satisfactory experience. That right there is leadership. Stepping up is absolute leadership. Taking hold is absolute leadership. Understanding, and this is something that John Maxwell says all the time, understanding that everything rises and falls on leadership. So our goal as leaders is to address these type of issues that you see here on the screen. It's important for us to understand that in our effort, we are trying to get to this level, this 5 level of leadership. If you guys aren't familiar with this, John Maxwell is one of the greatest leadership gurus out there, one of the greatest leadership gurus of all time. All right. And matter of fact, I've got this book, and I'm going to shout it out. One of the books that impacted my life, especially when it came to leadership, one of the greatest books that I've read is the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So, you know what? Before we continue, Elizabeth, you got those poll questions? Were y'all able to put those up?
So what we'll do is we'll ask the question, I'll put the question in the chat, and then we'll ask folks to answer the question in the chat.
All right. So how about this? Go ahead and put in the question about the books. You can put that in the chat real quick. I need some answers regarding that, because what happens is, and I believe it's Woodrow Wilson said this, not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers. Not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers. Okay? You want to improve your leadership? Pick up a book. I can't make this up even if I tried. You can listen to it on all the different platforms they have. But until you pick that thing up and you start reading it for yourself, I guarantee you it will change your life. But nonetheless, there are different levels of leadership that we are trying to attain. You guys can see this right here. At the bottom, most people will think that leadership is about position. Look, you can be in a position and still not be a great leader. It's one of the reasons why we got so many managers, right? You got people who are willing to hold on to the status quo, but true leaders are willing to galvanize change. And so when you get to about level 4 right there, did you know that great leaders develop other leaders, right? Leaders understand that you have to have a succession plan. You've got to be clear about how to develop someone else to take over for you when you aren't there, or for them to go ahead and do their thing. We have to develop other leaders if, in fact, you want to be a great leader. So take a look at these 5 leadership lessons that can absolutely help. All right. Let's talk about fostering leadership, and then we're going to get down to the nitty gritty, because I want to leave you guys with some things that will absolutely help you in your own endeavor. So, of course, fostering leadership, and I'll just touch on a couple of these, but the ones that I like the most are integrity. Integrity. Oh, let me repeat that one more time. Integrity. All right. Because oftentimes you might be in a situation where your integrity is questioned. You know that integrity, right? That word right there is a trust trait, is based on trust. Can people trust you to show up when you need to, when they need you to show up? Can they trust you to do what you say you are going to do at all times? Can they trust you to not only show up, but to also show out when it's time to? See, whenever we're moving into a leadership role, and by the way, let me pause here for a second. Everybody's a leader. You realize that, right? Everybody's a leader. Don't think that I'm not a leader. You might be a leader in your area of gifting, what your area, and when I say that, I mean it in the sense of you have talents that other people don't have. You have a skill that someone else doesn't have. It is your objective, it is your goal. Matter of fact, it's your duty to share that to the world, to share yourself to the world. In fostering leadership, I'll say this one thing. For those of you who have a thumbprint, I know y'all all have thumbprints. I know you do. So if you have a thumbprint, you realize that there is no one else who will ever have or has ever had that thumbprint. No one else will ever have that. You have to serve that to the world. You got to serve that to people. You want to be a great leader? Serve yourself, your skills to the world, and do that. And then here's the other thing too. As you're looking through these things, yes, you've got to build that trust like we talked about. You've got to be somebody who people can trust, and that causes people to want to work and follow and be with you. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, because I know we are pressed for time and I'm trying to make sure that we get through this. These are the absolutely, did I spell this wrong? I sure did. All right, corrected. All right, look, there you go, immediate correction. All right, here's the thing. These are some leadership ingredients. So vision, mission, goals, objectives, core values, a strategic plan for your own self, not for the organization. I'm talking about you having meetings with yourself, okay? Sitting down with yourself and then being disciplined enough to follow through on what you said you were going to do for yourself. That's one of the hardest things to do. You know, one of the greatest things, write this down, write this part down. One of the greatest forms of self-love is self-discipline. I know I just hit somebody with that. One of the greatest forms of self-love is self-discipline. So here's the thing. We all had New Year's resolutions, even myself. You still disciplined enough to keep doing it? Have you fallen off? Oh, I can see your faces right now. I'm just gonna turn around right over here and just focus right over here because I don't want to look at y'all. Have you kept up with your New Year's resolutions for the year? See, the thing about it is, it's not so much about you not failing and getting things done perfectly. That's not what leadership is about. Leadership is willing to fail in a new endeavor, but is willing to take the steps to do so, and understanding and learning from those mistakes along the way, and understanding that the best experience is evaluated experience. So then we've got to have a vision, a world that doesn't exist. That's really what a vision is. It's a world that doesn't exist that we would like to create. So I've got to ask everybody here, do you have all this written down? Do you have a vision statement for yourself? Do you have a mission statement for yourself? Matter of fact, Elizabeth, I know there's a question on this. Can you put that in the chat for me, please? I want to see everybody's response on this one. I got to pause. I got to stop the share on this. I got to see. Go ahead and let's see what it is. All right, I got some yeses, I got some nos. I appreciate the honesty. Keep going. Yeah. Love it. Now I'm talking about it's written down. I'm talking about it's clear for people to be able to see. All right. Now here's the thing. I love it. I love it. I love it. And here's the thing, for those individuals who have said no, that's all right. That is quite all right. Because what we've got to do is put this into action. We've got to put this into action. Okay. Let me share this one more time. So here's the thing. One of the things that I love is that goals and objectives, your objectives, write this one down. Everybody, please, 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 please write this one down. Y'all ready for the objectives part of it? Because everybody knows the vision. Everybody knows the mission means that you are moving forward. You understand what the vision is. You understand the mission to move forward, to be active. Goals, you got your SMART goals, right? Yeah, y'all know what that is: specific, measurable, attainable, time sensitive, or temporal. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed one. What's the R? What's the R?
Relevant.
Hey, look at that. Come on, Gladys. I know who that is. All right. Yeah, I know that voice anywhere. Okay. Shout out to my Greater Bridgeport NAACP people, my leadership.
Here for it.
Yes. So guys, I want you to think about that for a second. We got those, but objectives, write this down, is who will do how much of what by when. Let me repeat that one more time. Objectives are who will do how much of what by when. For every goal, you've got to have at least 3 objectives to getting that goal accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do it. You got to write it down. If it's not written down, we all know this. Everybody says this. All the leaders say this. You don't write it down, it's just a figment of your imagination. But here's the thing, your core values speak to who you are and how you want to live this life. Your core values is basically your true north, right? That's why I put the compass on there, because we have to have a true north that guides us as leaders so that when you are challenged, when you are weathering a storm, when you are pushing yourself through a tough situation, you have to lean on your core values in order for you to accomplish the mission so that you can get to the vision. And you know what's funny? Most visions will outlast you. So here's the thing. What you've got to do then is, when you're sitting down to help yourself in this leadership journey, when you sit down to do this, okay, what you got to tell yourself is, what's my 60-year plan? What's my 60-year plan? See, some of us on here right now are 60 years old. And you got to ask yourself, what's my 60-year plan? Right? Now, y'all might be laughing because you're like, wait a minute, I'm not going to be around another 60 years. I ain't doing this. I can understand that. But a vision should outlast you. Right? It should outlast you. When Dr. King said, I have a dream, okay? Look, did he see what we see today? No, but his dream lives on, his vision lived on, and guess what? It galvanized the movement, and it's still galvanizing a movement. So your vision should go beyond what you think it should be for your life. So when you're joining an organization, you've got to have a mentality of, how am I going to impact this organization? You look at the to-do list that is the job description, all right? And you say, well, how can I give more value to this organization, regardless of the circumstances? Because what happens is, the more you do that, the more you have that clear vision for yourself, regardless of how you do it, guess what? You will ascend, you will move forward, you will expand. And you know, that discipline, like we talked about, absolutely important. But look, we got to move on because I know we are pressed for time. and I don't want to take too much more time than this. I can see it on their faces. I'm moving on. Look, something that we are working with in the Greater Bridgeport NAACP. This is something that I've talked to our leaders about. This is something I've talked to our youth about. I call it the 4 C's because there are other C's on here as well. But I usually talk about the first 4, but there's really like 8. All right, I only gave y'all 5, but there's like 8. If y'all want the other 3, I'll share them with you later. But look, competence is absolutely important, okay? Confidence. But see, here's the thing. If you aren't competent and you're confident, Lord help us all. Because that's just a problem. You ever seen managers or leaders who are confident, but they have no competence? Look, you might be dealing with that right now. But as leaders, as servants, as influencers, y'all know, you know what they call those on TikTok and social media, they call them influencers. Look, so the question now is, who's influencing you? But that's a story for another day. But anyway, competence is absolutely important. That confidence needs to follow that competence, and then you got to have courage. You better have courage to step up whenever it's time. I have a friend of mine who is an editor on a show called The Boys, and he also is an editor he works with M. Night Shyamalan, right? And this brother here was like, got asked a question. Now he's an editor. He's like, man, what do I know? They're talking all the business stuff, and they're asking him questions. You better have an opinion. You better understand the circumstances that surround what's happening in that moment. When you are called on to be a leader, you got to step up. Can't shy away from that experience. So you got to have courage. And even if you don't have the competence, find a way to learn, to grow and develop it. But here's the thing. Look, we want you to have character. My team knows this. They've heard me say this plenty of times. We don't want you to be a character. We want you to have character. Let me repeat that one more time. We don't want you to be a character. We want you to have character. Leadership needs good character. You've got to have good character. And a lot of that falls under the category of empathy. But nonetheless, in your calling, I gave y'all another C. That wasn't on here. But anyway, in your calling, right? Look, you got to be consistent. Consistency goes right back to the word discipline. Because the thing is, you want to get good at something, you want to get good at leadership, you got to develop the skills, and you've got to do this on a regular basis. You have to be consistent. That's what employers want to see. They want to see that you're doing the job and doing the job effectively, consistently, so that you can get the job, so that when they call on you, they know without a shadow of a doubt, I know that this person's going to handle the business. I don't have to worry about it. Well, look, when we're at level 5 of that leadership, right back to that discipline. I'm trying to hammer that discipline home. If you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. Look, you guys can see this right here, and you can apply this to any part of your life. Now, I'm going to name a couple books that I know can definitely help you. Good to Great is one of them. This right here was found in the book Good to Great. All right. Good to Great is one of those books that can help you in your leadership. But Henry David Thoreau said this one thing. I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of man to elevate his life by conscious endeavor. I leave you guys with that. Because if you want to be a great leader, you have to be intentional. You have to be conscious of how you plan to live your life and how you want to move forward. Yes, it takes work. And I know that in today's world, with the cell phone and all that other stuff, we love instant gratification. But this leadership journey takes time, takes experience. You've got to step up to situations that perhaps you may not even be comfortable with. You may have to move into other situations where that you never even experienced before. And you're like, man, this is really expanding you. But you have to be willing to be teachable, and you have to be willing to teach. At the end of the day, be the influencer that you want to see in this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Valbrun, for this great discussion, which has been very informative. I know we are pressed for time, and we do have time for one question, which we did see someone, Stacy, asked in the chat.
Sure.
Which are your favorite career advancement books?
Oh, I have a whole library of books. I will say, I'll give you two. One of them is Think and Grow Rich, okay, by Napoleon Hill. All right, I know people have said that book plenty of times. And I'll give you three. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. Okay, just go right online, go listen to Simon Sinek, but absolutely get that book, read it. And the last one, I would say, it's another favorite of mine, Outwitting the Devil. That book right there, that thing hit home. And of course, I already gave y'all one with the 15 invaluable laws of growth. This thing I keep in my book bag. Okay, I keep that there.
Thank you.
And here's what I'm going to do as well. There are some resources. Obviously, we're pressed for time. Okay, I have some resources that I'm going to share with the NACCE team. So everybody's email should be on here. If you got on here, your email's here, right? So we will share those documents with you guys and certain websites that you can go to help develop your leadership abilities, because we need more leaders, and we need more leaders such as yourself.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Valbrun, for leading us through that incredible discussion and, summarizing a few key points we heard this evening, because I know I was writing some notes down. Being a great leader is serving people, find a problem, serve that problem, some attributes, empathy, and of course, like the 5 C's that you went over. One, personally, my favorite, courage and character, but how you emphasize that self-discipline as a leader. So thank you for today's discussion. And today's conversation will be recorded. Well, it is recording still, and will be shared with the attendees. And now we're going to announce our 2 raffle winners, which are Chantel Noble and Asia Stewart. Am I pronouncing that right? Okay. So congrats, you two. The members and friends of NACCE Connecticut and the Greater Bridgeport NAACP. I'd like to thank each and every one of you tonight for your presence, your questions, which we kind of ran out of time, but and your engagement. Definitely was engaged this whole presentation. Dr. Valbrun, on behalf of NACCE CT and all our guests, thank you once again for joining us today. We are now going to transition to the business portion of the meeting. So at this time, we respectfully ask anyone who is not a member of NACCE CT to log off, and I hope everyone else has enjoy the rest of your evening.
I just want to say thank you guys for having me. It is my pleasure. Happy to do it. And anytime I can be of service, feel free to give me a shout.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And you're getting so much kudos in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of great presentation and lots of power and impact. Thanks so much. All right, so I will now start to begin to share my screen. Just give me one moment.
Can you stop the recording? Okay.